The Nets have had a long season. Kyrie Irving's ban, Kevin Durant's knee injury, Joe Harris's ankle surgery, and the unfortunate decision to trade James Harden for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond. All of them have compelled the team to take on new shapes. But are these the causes of the team's underperformance? First, let's have a look at the NBA wrap. First up, Warriors versus Heat. Let's take a glance. On Wednesday night, the Golden State Warriors faced a major blow when star player Steph Curry was forced to leave the team's major loss to Boston Celtics due to a foot injury. Curry had no major structural damage, but an MRI revealed a sprained ligament, which will keep him out of the game for at least 2 weeks. Prior to the Warriors' game against the San Antonio Spurs on Sunday, Curry spoke to the media and stated that he feels he'll be ready for Game 1 of the playoffs, which are expected to begin on April 16th. However, Curry went on to say that he's unable to do much on his feet for the time being. For the time being, he's using a walking boot but intends to be back on the court by next week if things go as planned. Without the star player, Jordan Poole had to supervise the team. Nevertheless, the young man scored 30 points as the Golden State Warriors ended their 3-game losing streak with a 118-104 victory against the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat on Wednesday, who were without injured star Stephen Curry, had lost 3 consecutive games entering Wednesday's road game in Florida, the most recent of which was a 94-90 loss to Orlando on Tuesday. Warriors coach Steve Kerr replied by resting Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and the gamble paid off as an unusual-looking lineup delivered in flair at FTX Arena in Miami. The 22-year-old player had 9 assists to go along with his 30-point explosion, while Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Damion Lee each had 22 points. As they pulled up by 19 points in the third quarter, the Warriors appeared to be in trouble after Miami fought their way back into the game to take the lead early in the fourth. However, Poole, Wiggins, and Kuminga combined for 23 points in the Warriors' 37-point fourth quarter to send them home. Kerr later stated that their overall competitive spark and performance was much stronger. He further added that their team deserved it as they defended effectively, and therefore, the game did become a lot simpler and easier to play. Kerr said that the victory was a sharp contrast to his team's troubles against lowly Orlando 24 hours before. The 56-year-old player exclaimed that the NBA doesn't always make sense, but one thing he has discovered is that these are the best players on the planet. There are 30 teams. The bad teams have fantastic players, as do the good teams. But of course, there are setbacks and it's an 82-game season. That is why it is crucial to keep moving forward and not give in to the noise and the roller coaster aspect of it all. The Warriors will go wherever Curry goes, and their postseason chances will be determined by his ability to recover from this injury. It appears like he'll be able to play in the first round, but whether he'll be his usual self remains to be seen. So much of his success is dependent on his ability to make speedy cuts with and without the ball, and that won't be as simple following even a minor foot injury. Next, Celtics extended their winning streak to 5. The Miami Heat's downfall continues. We're sorry to announce that this team is no longer in the first position in the Eastern Conference following 4 straight losses, including one against the New York Knicks, in which they led as many as 17 points before a fourth quarter disaster. As a result, the 76ers now have a small lead, with the Heat, Celtics, and Bucks all chasing and tied in the loss column. On Wednesday, the Celtics kept their current hot streak going with a 125-97 thrashing of the Utah Jazz in Boston. The Celtics extended their winning streak to 5 games with 26-point performances from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The grueling setback served as a wake-up call for Utah, which was dominated throughout after Boston surged to a 15-point lead at the conclusion of the first quarter and poured on the pressure. Donovan Mitchell topped all scorers for Utah with 37 points. The C's dominated the game as a whole, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown once again led the charge on the scoreboard in tandem, scoring 26 points each. Marcus Smart topped all players with 13 assists, whereas Robert Williams III led the team with 10 rebounds. Following the victory, the Celtics have the lowest points allowed per game, 103.8 in the NBA, and the greatest point difference, plus 6.6, in the Eastern Conference. There are 1.5 games out of first place, tied with the 76ers and Bucks. With a record of 46-28, the Celtics have moved within striking distance of first place in the Eastern Conference. Up next, Philadelphia 76ers guard Danny Green says the Celtics will be the East surprise team. The true contenders in each conference are starting to emerge as the NBA playoffs are approaching. In the East, the Philadelphia 76ers are headed by James Harden and Joel Embiid, and they are joined in championship contention by the Milwaukee Bucks, Brooklyn Nets, and Miami Heat. However, people are talking about one team, which is certainly the Boston Celtics. The C's had a difficult start as they adjusted to the new coach Ime Udoka's play style. However, powered by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and a strong defense, the Celtics are 28-9 since the calendar switched to 2022, including a 48-point victory against the Sixers and a 51-point advantage before the All-Star break. On his podcast, Inside the Green Room, Sixers guard Danny Green reviewed the East's contenders, and he feels Boston is the hidden team to watch. It will be fascinating to see how all of this works out. The East is loaded with strong teams, and the Sixers, led by Harden and Embiid, will undoubtedly be near the top. However, they'll have competition from the Celtics, Bucks, Heat, and Nets, especially now that the restriction of vaccinations will be removed, allowing Kyrie Irving to play in Brooklyn's home games. A dramatic duel in Memphis saw a Grizzlies lineup without Ja Morant earn a 132 102-120 victory against the Brooklyn Nets, the Grizzlies' 6th win in 7 games, and they are 6th in a row over the New Yorkers. Brooklyn's Kyrie Irving scored 43 points, and Kevin Durant contributed 35, but a strong Memphis team defeated the Nets. The Grizzlies' Desmond Bane and DeAnthony Melton both had 23 points, whilst Dillon Brooks had 21. 4 additional Memphis players scored in the double digits. Memphis held a 76-62 halftime lead before being taken down by a 42-point Brooklyn third quarter, with Durant and Irving both providing 25 points to give the Nets a slight lead. However, Memphis stormed back to defeat the Nets in the fourth quarter, outscoring them 29-16. Bane told the reporters afterwards that the Grizzlies is the most united team he's ever been a part of. Can you believe that the Grizzlies are the only team the Nets have been unable to defeat in the Western Conference? We are shocked to hear this as the Nets coach. Next, how dangerous and uncertain the Nets are on the road with Kyrie Irving. Despite all of its season-long struggles, Brooklyn's road offense has a lengthy history of success. Only one of their franchise record 40 starting lineups has featured in at least 10 games. Brooklyn is now in 8th place, a risky position that requires success in the play-in event before reaching the finals. The Nets, on the other hand, are still hopeful, and one of the most obvious reasons may also be that Brooklyn is a lot better on the road than any team contending for a playoff spot, owing to Irving's refusal to get vaccinated. In 20 games, all on the road, the 30-year-old averages 27.7 points on near 50-40-90 shooting splits. It's a huge oceanic disparity, isn't it? This season, the Nets are 16-19 at Barclays Center, the same as the Pelicans, Pacers, and Kings, with a 100.8 offensive rating. Even with Irving's absent and Durant's injury, this is crazy. When the Nets are on the road, they become a different squad. With a record of 22-15, only the Suns, Sixers, Raptors, and Grizzlies have won more away games so far this season, and no team has scored the ball more efficiently overall. But in reality, despite all of its season-long troubles, Brooklyn's road offense has historically been excellent. Only 2 teams have had a higher offensive rating since 1984, and both did it during last year's weird, mainly fan-free competition, the Blazers and the Nets. The private sector mandate of New York City remains a significant aspect of this team's title drive. So even if Mayor Eric Adams decides not to lift it this spring, the Nets have to be optimistic about their future. As long as Durant is healthy, no opponent would want to face this team in a 7-game series. The world's most strong player has highlighted the Nets' inconsistency throughout the season, but especially recently. But of course, Kevin Durant isn't awful at Barclays Center and fantastic on the road. Because of the spacing issues they encountered early this season, Durant has received much more attention this season than he has in the past. But since returning from that knee injury to a hardened-less lineup, opponents have focused particularly on slowing him down. Last week in a home defeat to the Mavericks, a game Curry also missed, Durant was constantly double-teamed by one of the NBA's top defenses. That's a wrap for this video. See you in the next one.